How's it going, guys? So it feels like it's been forever since I last made a video. The Tigers just clinched the Central 2 days ago, and I didn't make a video about it because here's why. It's the third straight year they've won the Central, and that's a great accomplishment. You know, they hadn't won the division ever, this AL Central division ever, since, they joined it. I think back in 98 or 97, I think is when they joined the Central, because they were in the AL East. And in 2011, I was really excited for them to win the division because it was the first time they ever won a title, division title. It was the first time they were in the playoffs since '06. Last year I was excited because I knew we had a good shot at doing some noise in the playoffs. But this year, I expected them to win the AL Central title, so I wasn't too over the top about it because it's kind of like the Red Wings. When the Red Wings make the playoffs every year, does people here in Michigan get excited? No, not really. I mean, they're like, oh, the Red Wings are back in the playoffs again. Cool. I expected that. Let's see if they get to the Cup. Their standards are set so high. And right now, that's my standards for the Tigers. I really think they got a team that they're going to win it all this year. I really do. I don't want to see an AL Central flag out in center field next year. I want to see a World Series flag. And that's why I didn't make a video, because I expected them to go to win the division. Now, is it a great accomplishment? Sure. Am I happy they won the division? Sure. But I knew they were going to do it. I just want to see them go all the way this year. That's why I'm not too excited about it. I knew they were going to make the playoffs. I knew they were going to win the division. And they did. And with that said, within the division, it's adding another long list of great things Jim Leyland has done for the Tigers. And it's time to give Jim Leyland some credit. Now, I'm not even the biggest Jim Leyland fan in the world. I didn't like him for a little while. I still think that he has sometimes he makes bad bullpen moves, decisions, but you still cannot take anything away from him. Now, here's why I'm getting sick and tired of all this crap. There's a place called The Huge Show. It's in Grand Rapids. I don't know how this idiot has a sports talk radio show. I used to like his Facebook page. This idiot is one of the biggest Jim Leyland downers there is. He talks about how the team should have clinched weeks ago, how if Tito Francona was at the helm, they would have been a lot better, how he makes throwaway lineups and doesn't manage games all the way through. This is a crock of crap. It really is. There's one thing I get sick and tired of hearing of all the damn time, is that if Terry Francona was the manager of the Tigers, they would do better. How can you do better than what they've done the last 3 years? In the last 3 years, they have 3 playoff appearances, 3 division titles, an AL Central or an AL pennant, and a World Series appearance. Now, mind you, the World Series isn't great, but they still got there. This year, they won the division again. They're like 24 games over 500. What the hell is Terry Francona going to do that Jim Leyland isn't? Last time I checked, people, Terry Francona hadn't made the playoffs with the Red Sox since 2009. Leyland has 3 postseason appearances, 3 division titles, which, by the way, Terry Francona only did once with the Red Sox, only won 1 division title, 3 division titles, an AL pennant, and they went to the World Series. So what the hell is Tito Francona going to do for this team that Jim Leyland hasn't? I'm getting sick and tired of people playing that card. Terry Francona is the same style of manager as Jim Leyland is anyways. And he's said it on ESPN multiple times. He models himself after Jim Leyland. He is one of his managing idols. He is one of his favorite people. So what is Terry Francona going to do that Leyland hasn't? People go, well, the division should have been clinched weeks ago. What the hell does it matter when the division is clinched? The Dodgers just didn't clinch until yesterday. And did you see how bad the Diamondbacks were? Did you see? There were 10 games back. And it still took them till 3 games left in the season to clinch. What the hell are you people talking about? Secondly, with the throwaway lineups, there was a game in middle of the year where Torrey Hunter was hurt and Miguel Cabrera was hurt. So he had to play Don Kelly and Ramon Santiago. And the Tigers won the game, and he still bitched about it. Who the hell are you going to play? You're going to call Bobby Higginson back and see if he can play right for a game? And see what the hell Eric Munson was doing? Oh, hey, how about you ask Leyland to throw Tommy Brookins back out at third? Shut the hell up, you idiots, about talking about how Francona would have done better, because he ain't going to do any better than Jim Leyland's already done. And now another thing. I'm getting sick and tired of people talking about how Sparky Anderson would have had this team running differently, and Sparky this, Sparky that. Frankly, I never watched Sparky Anderson manage. His last year was in 1995, I believe. 95 or 96. And I was only 5 years old when he stopped managing. He retired. So I never got to watch him firsthand. My first manager I ever got to see was Alan Trammell. Now, I don't get, maybe it's because I didn't watch him, but I don't get why all these people hold Sparky Anderson on this pedestal, okay? Because that's all you ever hear about is Sparky this, Sparky that. Now, don't get me wrong. What I'm about to say here, I'm not trying to say Jim Leyland is a better manager overall than Sparky Anderson, because he's not. Because Sparky Anderson's years with the Reds, it's one of the greatest 10-year stretches ever. Okay? But as the Tigers manager, in 17 years, he only made it to the playoffs 2 times. Jim Leyland, since 06 in 8 years, has made it 2 pennants, 2 World Series appearances, 3 division titles. Sparky Anderson can't touch the success Jim Leyland's had with the Tigers. Because I don't get why people go, well, Jim Leyland sucks, and Sparky would have did this. But how does he suck when Sparky Anderson, back in 79, when he came to the Tigers, he got handed a young Alan Trammell, a young Lou Whitaker, a young Lance Parrish, a young Dan Petrie, a young Jack Morris. Oh, here you go. Here's 5 guys you can build your team around. And we're going to give you Darrell Evans and Chet Lemon and Larry Herndon and, Dave Rosemont. And, hey, we're going to, you're going to have Willie Hernandez, who's going to be perfect. Oh, and can't forget about young Kirk Gibson. He got handed a core, a team he could have made a potential dynasty out of. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like his core in Cincinnati when he had George Foster, Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Cesar Geronimo, none of those guys. It wasn't that kind of good core. But he still got handed a young core of good players that he could have won a lot more ball games with than he certainly hell did. And he could have went to the playoffs a lot more than he certainly hell did back with that young team. Because after the 1980s, he didn't do anything. The Tigers were atrocious his last 6 years as manager, and the Tigers were pretty crap after he won the World Series in 84. I mean, they had a couple competitive teams, but they didn't come to the playoffs. They didn't go back to the playoffs until 87. So in 17 years, people are going to talk about this great man's success and how much he did for the franchise, but you get handed that young core of players who only go to the playoffs twice? Twice? And yet you get looked upon as one of the greatest Tiger managers ever? Jim Leyland has more wins through his first 8 years as a Tiger manager than Sparky Anderson did. And Sparky Anderson won 100 games one of those years. So how the hell does that happen? Now, I know Sparky Anderson was, in 1981, he was manager for the first half or second half, something like that. It was a strike-shortened season, I know that. And he came in at 79 halfway through the season. Now, I will give Sparky Anderson the credit. He did say when he came in 5 years we will have a World Series title. And he did. I'll give him that. He stuck to his word on that. But for people to sit here and talk about how Sparky Anderson's so much better than Jim Leyland, when Jim Leyland has totally eclipsed everything he's done with the Tigers, not the Reds, the Tigers, it doesn't even make any sense. And then people want to criticize Leyland for being a 500 manager. Well, let's see. He's got a 541 winning percentage with the Tigers. He's 700 and 594. So how the hell does that work out? That's way over 500 to me. And, it doesn't help that he was on the Rockies, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are kind of crap towards the end of his career. So what are you going to do about his overall winning percentage? Look at his winning percentage as the Tigers manager. Sparky Anderson, he's closer to a 500 manager at the Tigers than Jim Leyland is. His winning percentage is 516. So it's not even close. Leyland, like I said, in 8 years has eclipsed anything, besides winning World Series titles, anything that Sparky Anderson has ever done in a Detroit Tigers uniform. He has more wins through his first 8 years. Has more playoff appearances, more pennants than Sparky, and more division titles than Sparky Anderson ever did. So I'm getting sick and tired of people holding Leyland down and saying this guy would have did better than him. This guy would have did better than him. Sparky would have did better. Terry Francona would have did better. When you can't do any better than what he's doing because he has consistently put this team in the playoff position every single year. The only time he hasn't was 08 when they were absolutely horrible. 07 he had a good year, but they just couldn't, they couldn't win enough games. They won like 87 games. 09 they collapsed. That's on Leyland. I'll give him that because that was awful managing. But 2010 you lost Miguel Ordonez in the second half, and there was no one to help him out. You had Brendan Bosch backing up Miguel Cabrera, so what were you going to do? But they were still 500. And then since 2011, they've been nothing but competitive every single year. Jim Leyland has done something that hasn't been done in 100 years. Not Sparky Anderson. Not Mayo Smith. Not Mickey Cochran. Not Ty Cobb. None of those Tigers managers have ever had the Tigers in the postseason 3 years in a row. Not since 1907, 1908, 1909 has the Tigers ever went to the World Series 3 years in a row. Or postseason, I should say. Because back then, it was just World Series. There was no playoffs. It was you won your league, you won the World Series. But still, in over 100 years, and yet you're still going to call him a crap manager and still going to say you have no success with him? That is a bunch of shit. It really is. And it's time to give this man some damn credit. And I'm not even Leyland's biggest supporter. I'm just pissed that this man can't do anything. I read an article by Bat Caputo yesterday. I am criticizing, trying to say stuff about Leyland. Just give the goddamn man some credit. That's all I ask. Stop trying to nitpick every success he does. Throughout the middle of the season, it's brutal listening to these idiots. Because they're going to do something. They knew they were going to get in the playoffs. Oh, man, they lost the series to the Royals in the early September. Fire the guy. He sucks. Oh, wait, but now he wins the division and it's all good. We're in the playoffs again. Just shut the hell up. Give this man some goddamn credit because he deserves it. That's all I got to say. And I'm sick of people trying to nitpick all the accomplishments and how competitive he's kept this team. That's it. And that's all I wanted to say. And it's had me heated. It has had me heated. The last week, I nearly blew up at work talking to my coworkers about this because I was getting so pissed. I'm sick of hearing it. You need to give the man some credit. He's been one of the greatest Tiger managers of all time. He's had the Tigers more competitive than any other Tigers manager ever. And that's it. I'm sick of hearing about it. Give the man credit. He deserves it.